Hi, and welcome to the Butler Buzz. I'm Kate Stutz, and I'm sitting here with Megan with Parents in Toto. Megan, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Parents in Toto and what you provide to the community.
Sure. We are a nonprofit autism resource center located right in the heart of Zelienople. And on a typical week, we would be providing in-person support groups as well as the opportunity for families or individuals to walk in to get resources and information on local services. We do a lot of non-clinical intervention, and we love to encourage community and support.
That's fantastic, and it's so necessary right now with the pandemic and the quarantine going on is to retain that sense of normalcy for everyone, especially our children. So, can you tell us a little bit how families with children with autism can maintain a kind of schedule or routine?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of change happening in homes, and that change is probably only going to continue with work situations shifting. One of the most important opportunities that we have is to use visual schedules or written schedules to continually have that conversation as a family as to what we are expected to do in any given day, where some of the limits are so that video games don't dominate all the time, and being able to kind of set up some of that guidelines, whether it's just written word on a dry erase board or it's something printed up that you can move those times around and be able to go with the flow.
So having like something visual to go off of, like you said, like a whiteboard, maybe a chalkboard, maybe a poster board, just something that they can physically see where the day is going to go. Okay.
Yeah. Some children like just stick drawings are enough for them. Others prefer just written word. So it doesn't have to be anything complicated, but having that laid out is really helpful. Also, sometimes using timers can be a really helpful technique. We employ that even in our house a lot and gives kids an idea as to how long they're expected before transition happens.
Okay, cool. That's a really good tip. Do you have any other tips that you can offer families?
So one other tool that I know is really useful, and there's a lot of great resources right now for free on the internet. We've just recently posted one, are social stories. So there are social stories talking about some of the changes. Maybe it's about how now some are doing teletherapy from home. We've done and put our virtual groups online and are using Zoom for that as well. So social stories explaining what some of the new is going to be, as well as for things like wearing masks or some of the expectations that there will be in the future.
Right. And that is something else I wanted to ask you about was the wearing masks. So do you have any tips on ways to keep children with autism safe, such as if they have a sensitivity to wearing a mask?
Sure, yeah. The number one thing is to try to introduce the mask in a setting where there's less stress. So it's usually during a preferred activity. Having a kid wear a mask during a favorite television show, having them pick out a favorite fabric has become really popular so that they can get a customized mask of maybe some kind of superhero that they love or other character. And encouraging them, again, the timer could be helpful, doing it for a short period of time and reinforcing that, as well as just knowing that some kids are going to have a lot of resistance to that, and we really may have to modify our behaviors and our expectations too. It's really kind of an unknown, but I have found that a lot of kids are being pretty flexible about the societal expectation of wearing a mask.
Right, right. And maybe if they see other people doing it, it won't be so frightening. But I
Yeah.
think that was a really, really good tip is just practicing at home in little increments of time. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. It's a great way to just kind of not make something stressful and make it a little bit easier and less overwhelming.
yeah, definitely. Well, Megan, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been great talking to you. And
Absolutely.
we hope to reconnect when this is all over and see you again.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're still continuing to engage with our participants, and we have really enjoyed being able to engage with others virtually too.
Thanks, Megan. Take care.
For more than 60 years,
Armstrong has been here for you.
We keep you connected
to your family, business, and world.
Because right now, in this moment,
nothing is more important.
Our network is monitored 24/7.
And our support team is here to help.
Because going the extra mile to care for you
is what we do best every day.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm sitting here with Cassandra from the Moraine Preservation Fund. Cassandra, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Thank you.
I hear you. Well, it's nice to see you anyway. And how are you guys doing with the quarantine?
Personally, we're doing okay. But Moraine Preservation Fund, we're facing some challenges, really trying to figure out how we're going to move forward in this crazy time. So.
Sure, definitely. And everything's so up in the air and unpredictable right now. It seems like everything changes every day. How has that affected Moraine Preservation Fund?
It does, certainly. We are a seasonally operated organization on site at the park. So our season would be beginning for us right now. So we're kind of faced with the challenge of what that will look like for 2020. And with that, just as any other business or nonprofit, we're potentially facing some loss of revenue. So we're fortunate, though, as Butler County is moving to yellow this weekend. That means that the outlet shop that we operate will be able to open under yellow status.
Oh,
so
good.
we're very grateful for that. But where we're at right now is we did have to submit a COVID-19 safety plan to the park that was passed along to the region and to the state. And we're just waiting for approval on our safety plan to operate effectively. So should those things be approved, we're hoping to open as normal for the gift shop at least on May 23rd.
Okay, well, that sounds promising.
Yes, it does. It does.
How has social distancing changed the amount of time that people have spent outdoors?
As we've been there preparing ourselves to hopefully be open, it's absolutely shocking the number of people that are visiting the park. I was there yesterday afternoon, a Wednesday at 3:30, and I could have sworn that it was a typical springtime Saturday. The parking lot was full. There were people picnicking. There were people throwing a football. There were people launching their boats. There were people kayaking. There were people bird watching. So it's one of those things where it's incredibly eye-opening, right? That when the rest of the world shut down, the state park is where people went to. And it's very encouraging to see the number of visitors. Across the state, I know state park visitor counts are up 75% to 100% from this time last year.
That is impressive. It seems like we almost needed this time to be able to force to shut down to be able to get outside. People might have had that on their list of things they would like to do, and here's an opportunity.
Yeah, and it's really, as I've seen families coming together at the park and people are going back to that kind of old school picnic blanket and some food, and they're setting themselves down in the grass, and somebody goes off on a hike and somebody goes off to fish and somebody throws the kayak in the water. It's a beautiful thing to see, and a great reminder of why we should be good stewards of our state parks and of our natural spaces.
Definitely. So what are some ways that people can still utilize state parks while being socially distant? Because we were talking about so many people had come, and my family had gone there a few weeks ago, and it was just a real eye-opener. It was a really good time. It was really nice.
Yeah, and it can be challenging, of course, when you pull into a parking lot and it's absolutely packed, right? I mean, it's going to be hard to maintain 6-foot distancing.
Right.
So the reminders that come from the DCNR are really fabulous, just to remember that if you pull into a place that you normally would visit, and you're familiar with maybe some out of the way or off the beaten path other places, move yourself along to those other places and perhaps visit there instead of visiting the high population areas. But when you can still head out on the lake to fish, you can still use the bike trail to walk, to jog, to ride a bike. You can still hike any one of the multiple miles of trails traversed across Moraine State Park. Just, don't stop and congregate. Move along, maintain 6 feet on a path. Try to walk single file line when you're about to cross another person. There's lots of dogs in the park right now. Don't let your dogs interact with each other. Don't let them interact with other people. Just remain physically distant as you're out enjoying those spaces.
That makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
Especially with everybody coming in at once. But it is nice to see other people and stop and say hi. And everybody seems to be so friendly right now because we're just so excited to see another person.
Yes. I was in the outlet doing some work, and people were coming up and knocking on the window, and they were yelling, "Don't open the door. I just want to say hi." It was exciting to have that interaction with the public.
A little bit of social. That's all we need, right? We were also wondering, what will the regulations at the state parks, will they change again as we start to phase into the lifting the social distancing?
Yes, most likely they will. And it will have to do with a number of different things. Right now, the park staff has let us know that at least until June 15th, all scheduled programs and events have been canceled.
Okay.
So just as we're seeing things in general in our lives kind of on a rolling opening basis, so too are the things that are happening in the park. And the important thing to remember is that sometimes it will be a little bit different than what maybe the state guidelines are, right? We might hear that the state guideline is no more than 25 people in an area. You may see, as we continue to go through these phases, you may see that Moraine State Park may be different than that. It may be only 10 people, and that is all yet to be seen. And that will be kind of handed down from the state level. The DCNR group will hand that down to each park, and then different entities and groups will work specifically with the state park staff. So right now we have things like the marina is opened in Moraine State Park. You'll see that select bathrooms throughout the park are open. Even right now before they went to yellow, just because they realized there was so many people visiting and that it was the right thing to do to have facilities. Pavilions at this time are not, but we hope to see pavilions become available kind of on a first come first serve basis. But it's an ever changing situation, right? It's going to change daily and weekly, and it's just all going to depend on how things continue to progress. The important thing to remember is that, there's limited staff at the park level who are trying to manage all these changes. So it's important as a visitor to be respectful when you're there, clean up after yourself, and just, be a little bit patient with maybe some of the guidelines that have been put in place.
And just be more mindful that people are trying their best to keep up with all the changes, which are almost daily. So
yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds so good. And, we're getting there. We're on our way. And, it's great to go to the park and kind of get a break from everything.
Absolutely. It is such a rejuvenating place to be. I was only there for an hour yesterday, but boy, does it lift your spirits to feel the sunshine on your skin, see people having such a good time, see wildlife. In the short time that I was there, I saw the osprey, I saw a green heron, I saw other migrating birds.
Oh, gorgeous.
There's a report that there was a bear swimming across the lake this week. So, get out and enjoy it. And then hopefully May 23rd, come see us at the outlet and see all the great things that we have for you to check out too.
Yeah, that sounds great, Cassandra. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And I really appreciate all your info.
Absolutely.
All right. Stay safe.
All right. You too.
At Armstrong, we understand the importance of being connected. Connected to family, connected to friends, connected to the outside world. Our network enhances the quality of your education, business, and healthcare. It's monitored around the clock by engineers and maintained by technicians, all who take pride in delivering you the best possible service. Your broadband needs are critical, and we'll never stop working to maintain that connection.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm sitting here with Regina Heiler from Butler County VoTech. Regina, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just trying to stay busy in the quarantine. Can you tell us a little bit about VoTech and what it looks like right now?
Well, it looks rather different than it would look in May, just like every other school. This is a very busy time for the students and wrapping up the school year and getting their certifications, getting ready for finishing up NACI by now, which is and NIMS, which is their standardized test, which they do at the end of their time at the VoTech. And right now, what it looks like, we have students who are home doing assignments through our student management system. I apologize, our online learning management system, which is called Canvas. And through there, we do offer some certifications, but it's just not the same as being in school. But students, I'm sorry.
I said, sure, it's not the same.
But we do have students who are working hard, who are asking questions, who are communicating with teachers. And our instructional aides are contacting students to make sure that they're on track. And I mean, it's just not obviously the same, but we are trying to make keep in contact with the students as much as humanly possible, which at first I was sending out a ton of phone calls and uploading to the website. And I think that was a little bit overwhelming, probably in hindsight. And now it's every couple of weeks we send a phone call home and share information. Our website's very active, our social media sites. Right now on our website, we have a seniors only section for students to complete a survey, which if you're watching this, please do it by tomorrow so we can gather some. In that survey, we're asking students their t-shirt size. We're asking if they want to add anything into the yearbook or if their parent or guardian want to. So we're trying to keep in touch with the kids the best we can.
Oh, well, that sounds great that you are just trying to meet them in the middle and, work with what we have right now. Just making that effort to reconnect with them means so much. So that's great that you've been keeping in touch with the students. Do you know what VoTech will look like as we start to phase out of the quarantine?
At this point, we are just truly hoping, because we know the school year is pretty much, it would have come to an end by June 3rd anyway with the students, and now what is it, May 14th? We're winding down now, so looking forward to next school year, we're hoping we could just open as regular. However, being an educator and being in the meetings and listening to other administrators and even statewide, we're all thinking if we have to remain closed or if we have to do some kind of modified schedule, how will that look? So we're still figuring all that out. It just seems like every time you think you get a plan going, you have to adjust, and that is part of education, but this is just a very different spot that I think anybody ever thought we would be in. So how will it look? I have high hopes it's going to run as normal as usual. I'm sure, and we'll adapt as necessary. Our teachers are very open to obviously doing whatever's best for kids, and we've talked about the possibility of doing some different types of education starting next school year, and of course they didn't shy away from it, and they said we'll do what's best for the kids.
Wow, that sounds really, really good that you are just trying to, modify as we go, because there's no way to predict what's going to go on, but, just as long as the students know that, you have their back and something will be available. We just aren't really sure what that is. So the last question I wanted to ask is, what will you be offering to the students in the fall? And do you foresee maybe the online learning is going to be more prevalent than in classroom?
Well, again, it is just dependent on what's going to be happening in the world and according to the governor's orders, and then listening to the Department of Education and collaborating with other schools, because we're the VoTech for the county, so we have 7 schools coming to us. So what are they going to be doing? And those are constant conversations, and they're things that we've talked about among administrators and just trying to see where we're going.
Sure.
Again, it's almost like we have to kind of wait and see, just like they have to wait and see. And it's just, I know as a parent, I'd want to know what's happening. So that's why we're trying to give out as much information as possible. For instance, I have students who want to come get their belongings, well, I wanted to wait till we get into the yellow phase, which looks like we're going there tomorrow, and then we'll come up with a plan to get students to come get their things, because quite frankly, some of our students are still working. So they need their stuff, and if they really need it, obviously they call the school and handle that. So, there's so many short-term things and long-term. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, I'm unsure, and we work to get what we need to do for the students. They're not forgotten. We miss them so much. They're the reason why we're there. So we're just trying to figure that out, and we will figure it out for them.
Definitely. And that sounds wonderful. It sounds like you've got a really good handle on things, for how unsure we are. It sounds like this is a really safe place for them to come and learn and, know that you are there for them. So you're doing a really, really good job. We're really impressed and we're really proud. Regina, thank you so much for being with us today and telling us about the Butler VoTech.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a safe rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more than 60 years,
Armstrong has been here for you.
We keep you connected.
To your family, business, and world.
Because right now, in this moment,
nothing is more important.
Our network is monitored 24/7.
And our support team is here to help.
Because going the extra mile to care for you,
It's what we do best every day.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm sitting here with Jenna Hayes from the Butler County Children's Alliance. Jenna, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Y'all staying safe in the quarantine and everything's going okay?
Yeah, we're trying.
Right. I mean, we're all trying to adapt to, our new way of life and our new normal. So can you tell us what you do with the Butler County Children's Alliance?
Sure. So it's Butler County Alliance for Children, and we are the Child Advocacy Center for Butler County. We assist families when children are identified in child abuse investigations. We help walk them through the investigation process, help them connect to services, coordinate their investigative team, and then on site we actually conduct the forensic interviews and the forensic medical examinations.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of help that you offer to people in our community. So thank you for that. You're also doing an initiative now. We heard about your Play Safe, Stay Safe initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Sure. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a lot of concern expressed about children now being at home and not being in contact with mandated reporters, not seeing their teachers, not seeing doctors or therapists. And statewide, there's been a 50% reduction in child abuse reports made to the Pennsylvania Child Line, which is the hotline for Pennsylvania. So there's no belief that child abuse is reducing. It's just that the kids are not coming into contact with mandated reporters, so it's not being reported.
So they need other adults in their life to help them out with that.
Correct. So we had a lot of people contacting us initially back in March when this all started, expressing concern, asking if there was anything that we could do. So we came up with this initiative because there is a lot of research that shows the benefits of families playing board games together. It reduces stress. It lets people forget about what's going on in the real world for a little bit. It reduces anxiety, and it just brings families together. So we came up with the idea of play safe, meaning that they're playing safe games and spending time together, and ultimately it will help them stay safe. So we created our flyers. We mailed those out to our mailing list, people that have supported us in the past, attended our events, etc. We've used social media to advertise. We created wish lists on Amazon and Target, and families, businesses, individuals have gone online. They purchased the games and they're having them sent directly to the center. Or people are dropping them off we have a bench on our sidewalk, so people are leaving them on our bench for the social distancing aspect. And then we gathered them up. We've been borrowing a box truck from Fairground Market, and we collaborated with the school meal distribution program, And on the days that the schools are handing out lunches, we set up in the parking lot of one of those schools, and the families come over, they tell us the ages of their kids, and we put together a bag of games that they can take home with them. So there's no financial requirement. We don't need their names. We just get the ages. And inside the bag that we're giving them, we're including resources for the county. Another reality of the pandemic is that a lot of individuals have lost their jobs, or they're currently unemployed, and they're probably not aware of all the resources available throughout Butler County. So we worked with Center for Community Resources, 211, and we got some information from the Penn State Extension, and we've put that into the bag along with a letter from our agency encouraging families, letting them know where the games came from, that their community is standing behind them, and that we are there for them if they need help connecting the resources.
Wow, that is wonderful. You have covered so many bases in such a short amount of time. Like, you're providing all the resources to them, not only a way to relieve stress and like reconnect with your family members. You know, it is kind of hard staying home all the time, and just the sheer boredom, especially the smaller your children are, the younger they are. That is a huge help. You're doing something really amazing for us.
Yeah, we've actually had parents cry when when they pull up. We've had parents say, "We appreciate you acknowledging that we're struggling. We really are struggling."
You feel so alone when you're in it.
They'll say, "We feel alone. We're bored. We don't have any." They're so bored. They're stressed out with the schoolwork. There's parents that are trying to work from home while being expected to help their kids do their schoolwork. The kids are super excited. They'll be yelling out of the windows like, "Can we have hungry, hungry hippo?" And like, there was a little boy in Mars that was hugging the game that he picked. So it's just been really great. It's been worth the effort to watch how the community has embraced the initiative, and as well as how the families are finding it a positive impact.
Oh, sure. That is so wonderful. And that's one of probably the best ways that we can help, our families with the boredom. Is there something comforting or reassuring that we can tell to kids about the quarantine and the phase in? You know, it can be kind of confusing, especially with the younger the children are explaining what's going on and how it affects us. You know, it can be kind of like, they're in the dark a lot about all of this. Is there an easy, simple way to explain it to them?
I've seen lots of different recommendations, and they say the longer that individuals are wearing masks, the more comfortable the children are becoming with the mask idea, and that actually when we started having to wear masks, it actually helped children better understand what a pandemic is and how serious it can be. So it's things I've seen as suggestions are, encouraging them to wash their hands and explaining to them why they have to wash their hands, like talking in basic terms, depending on their age, about germs and how viruses can become germs on your hands. So why it's important to wash your hands. And, why can't we see grandma, trying to explain that the older someone gets, the more likely they are to be impacted by a virus if it happens, if they happen to get those germs. So just very basic breakdown of each of the steps that we as adults are hearing about the pandemic. And there's a lot of good resources online. If you just Google how to talk to children about COVID-19, there are so many resources. Some short videos are available that have been made.
Well, Dana, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. This is immensely helpful. It's exactly what we need right now.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Butler Buzz. Hey there, Butler. If you want to see more from the Butler Buzz, click on the playlist button up here. To see other Armstrong local programming shows, you can click the subscribe button down here. I suggest you do both. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.